Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi, Rohit.
As part of the externship winter cohort, we are speaking with project owners, and today we have some young guns joining us from DYTE. I will hand over the reins to Abhishek, Rohan, Rishit, and Shantanu and request them to introduce themselves, the organization, in a very Twitter-like introduction, and then talk about project and the way they want you or the potential externs to submit their projects, etc., etc. So we will keep triggering the conversation with them. Over to you, Abhishek, to begin with.
Thank you so much for having us here, Rohit. It's really nice to be a part of GitHub Externship this year. Hi, I am Abhishek. I am the co-founder and CEO of DYTE. We are one of the companies offering externship projects this year under the GitHub program. I graduated from VIT Vellore back in 2018, and we recently started DYTE about a year ago, somewhere close to September last year. Since then, we have gone through Y Combinator Winter 21 batch and raised our round from Sequoia, Nexus, and others combined. We provide audio video SDKs as a service, which essentially means that we let other products, platforms, apps integrate live audio video calls uh, within their products itself, right? We're based on WebRTC, and we are officially called CPaaS, that's Communications Platform as a Service, right? That's a quick intro about me. Over to you, Rohit.
So alphabetically, maybe Rohan, Rishit, and Shantanu, you could self introduce yourself, and then we'll quickly get into the conversation.
Hi, so I'm Rishit. So I work as basically a full stack dev in DYTE. So right now I'm in my final year in VIT, Vellore. And yeah, I'll be joining DYTE as a full-time employee soon. But yeah, that's what I do at DYTE. And apart from DYTE, my other interests include cybersecurity. So I play in CTFs frequently in my free time. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Hi guys, my name's Rohan. I've been in diet since like around the starting about a year now. So I'm also a student of VIT and I'm in my final year, will be graduating soon. I do a lot of CTS with Rishit and yeah, that's a bit about me too.
Hi, I'm Shantanu. I am also a final year student from VIT, and I do backend at Diet. And about my interests, like mostly like I'm not that into CTS like Rohan or Rishabh, but I enjoy open source, and I think I'm really looking forward to building something cool this extension.
I would want you, one of you, to take the lead. I leave that discretion upon you and talk more about the projects that you are putting out on the externship platform. Everyone listening, we've pushed the notification around the projects that Diet has listed. Let's kind of hear from the team about those projects.
Right. So, what we can do is we can have each one of you talk about the project that they'll be mentoring because all the three mentors are right in front of you. So, let's start with Rishit itself.
Yeah, hi again. So our first project that we were offering was on what do you call fuzzing. So this is mainly around security. So more into a binary exploitation. So what we are looking for is there are many video calling libraries that are used currently. So we have libraries about media soup, libraries about WebRTC. So these are all written in C. Most of these are libraries which parse parse payloads from protocols related to these protocols again. So what we are looking for in this project is basically you have to fuzz these libraries. So what fuzzing means is you pass random inputs in these libraries, and after that you're basically doing that with the intention to crash that program, or create some security problems. And based on that, we want you to find these bugs in these libraries and help us also maybe even fix them. So that's the basic outline for the project. uh, so to get like started on this, you would need to have a background on C and C++ and Golang. So those are like the three major languages which have libraries around video calling and WebRTC. So yeah, and you can find more details on our externship website as well. Yeah, happy to take any questions about this. Yeah. I think yeah, Sean, then we can go and talk about the Golang project now.
Yeah, so the next project that we're mentoring is Golang Microservices Framework. Although I think it's more appropriate to call it just a generic microservices framework. So, to give you a bit of background, internally, DYTE uses this microservices framework called Molecular, right? And Rishit has written a really cool blog about it, so you guys should go and check that out. But the way that that essentially works is that you have a single service broker that listens for messages from microservices, and these microservices talk to each other over that message broker. Molecular, however, is a framework that is built around JavaScript, and it's primarily for JavaScript. And some applications, like some microservices that you wish to build, might be more suitable in other languages. So we wanted to have a framework that could accomplish this. You could have, say, a microservice written in Golang, or a microservice written in Python, and a microservice written in JavaScript, and all these should be able to talk to each other. So that's the basic idea. Like, that's the basic deliverable of this project. We're very open to how anyone doing this project might achieve it. So you can we're open to, for instance, porting Molecular so that you can have like and you know you can kind of use the Molecular framework through Python or Golang. uh, there is like some ports exist, but the problem is that since those aren't primarily for this sort of thing, it's a challenge to use them in production. So we'd want something of our own to maintain that way. Or alternatively, we could also not go with Molecular and implement our own thing from scratch. So yeah, that's the basic idea of the project. The basic requirements are going to be that some familiarity with uh, Node.js, like, sorry, TypeScript and JavaScript, because that's basically like what Molecular is written in. And some familiarity with Redis will also help, because that's the protocol for the message broker. But I imagine we can use something else. So yeah, like basic familiarity with how, say, event streams work, and how microservices can communicate with each other. So yeah, I think that's it for this project. The next project is TypeORM Analytics. So again, I'll hand over to Rishit.
Yeah, hi. So the next project is on, a TypeORM statistics. So, okay, so I'll give a brief intro on what TypeORM is. So, for those of you which haven't used it before, so TypeORM is basically, as the name says, an ORM library. So you can use it to interact with MongoDB, Postgres, and what you call MySQL. So it's basically a JavaScript library. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So yeah, okay. So we in DYTE use this library very extensively. So our goal is to basically add a feature to this library where we want to collect statistics about how many, let's say, queries are executed per second by our by the library, and what kind of queries are executed more than some other queries. Why we need this is because many times in DYTE especially, so we face high load from our clients, and we have to find where bottlenecks in our whole infra are. So right now, how we do that is we do it in our cloud provider level, but we would rather do it on this level, because that will give us more debugging power. So for example, we could actually get line numbers for this query in our code is taking more time compared to some other query. So that's like the basic outline of the project. We would be expecting you to kind of make a wrapper around TypeORM, not modify TypeORM itself. So you would basically create a wrapper library around TypeORM, which would then track how many of which query is running, and then it could generate some kind of a report, let's say. So I can view this report and see which queries are running more than others. So yeah, that's a brief overview of the TypeORM wrapper. I'll give it over to Rohan for the next project.
Yeah. So I'll also share my screen for this one. So the last project is the API reference generator. So I'll give you a brief overview of what the Open API spec is first, and then I'll get to more about the project. So the Open API spec, as you can see here, it's like a language agnostic standard that is defined by an organization, so that like it provides like a middle ground between a human readable documentation and a computer readable documentation. So you can basically write like a YAML file or a JSON, and that is something which like a human can read and understand, and also your computer can read and understand. So you can basically use that Open API spec file to generate like your Postman collection, or if you want to use it with any library, you can probably use it. So the thing is that this OpenAPI spec is generally edited manually, but like there are tools with which you can edit it. But most often it's like just a tool to visualize how to edit the YAML files. There are certain libraries such as this one also, which tries to generate it automatically from an Express backend. But performance wise, I think that this could be improved quite a bit. But this is like a really good example of what we want to do, but we want to make it a bit better and a little less user specific. So for example, when you're setting this up, you actually have to write a lot of code for setup. Like you basically need to ensure that you pass the correct fields and add the correct commands in places. What we're trying to do is use the Express library itself to figure out what all routes are there, and then automatically generate this entire OpenAPI spec. From this OpenAPI spec, you can also generate other stuff like API client libraries. API clients are basically libraries such as you would have seen the AWS SDK, right? So basically, you can send requests on your own, or you can just use the AWS SDK to send requests to create like a new ECS machine or something. So we wanted to generate something like that without actually having to write the API client. So yeah, this is going to be useful in like a lot of organizations, because documentation is always a very important part while developing anything. So we wanted to automate this feature. Again, this will mainly include Node.js, JavaScript, TypeScript, Express, of course, and Golang. If we want to use it, we can use it, but like it's a bit flexible right now at this stage, because we like once the externs are selected, we'll be figuring out how exactly to go about it. But yeah, this is a brief overview of it.
Right. And lastly, we have an open project, which is propose a project that you would like to build and then go ahead and build further. So for those of you who want to do a demo of DYTE and who want to check out how it looks once you integrate the API, I'll be pushing the link in the chat and you guys can go take a tour of it, host a sample meeting. There, one of the sections that is very useful is something called plugins. What plugins essentially allow us to do is have real-time like collaborative engaging experiences within the video calls. So one of the things that if you are interested in and you would like to pursue could be building custom plugins. It can range anywhere from a work-based plugin to something as simple as like a game, right? So one of the first plugins that we built out was a chess game because we internally use it. So any such projects which are open-ended and you guys would like to extend the functionality of plugins or extend the functionality of the DYTE SDK as a whole are also welcome, right? The format is pretty straightforward. The link is mentioned in the first comment. You can go ahead and propose your own idea. Under that section, you'll have to define what you want to do, why you want to do it, with the other details that have been put up in the format by Rohan, I think. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any specific questions, we can take the remaining time to probably answer those regarding each individual project.
Devam, we've already pushed the link twice now. You can log on to externship.github.in and go to organization tab and then look for DYTE and their projects. While there are more questions that will come, I want all of you, since you're also the young guns, there are two things that I want you to address specifically. One, how do these young folks, I mean the externs, the potential externs, can impress you? What should they be including and what should they definitely not be including in the project proposal? That one. And if ever they get stuck somewhere, how can they interact with you and ask and clarify the question? Anyone?
So let me answer that, right? So in terms of impressing us, we would be expecting technical competency and the hunger to learn more. That's a pretty standard ask, I think, across the team. You are seeing most of our initial core hires here, and all of them were right under college. They're not even freshers at this point. They were still in college when we started working with them. Uh, so that is definitely one of the things that would help is showcase the kind of things that you have worked on. It can be related to the project proposal. It cannot be related. The point is it needs to be something interesting. As long as it's a tough challenge that you have solved and you believe that you have a approach to it that uh, takes a step, like makes it stand out, that is something that you would be looking for. Uh, Something that's non-negotiable for us would probably be egoistic nature. I am very sorry to say that, but uh, a lot of people come in with the entitled behavior, which is something that we're not looking to have as a part of our team at all. Um, Lastly, we have a community server. I think the link has been put by Puneet in the chat. Also, for others, it's community.dite.io. It's right there on our homepage. That's a place where you can interact with other community members and see the kind of projects that people are building there over DYTE. What are the things that people are interested in? What are the things they're asking around? And that's definitely one place where you can showcase yourself much better than anywhere else. In terms of during the externship, we'll definitely be adding them to our channels, to our private groups, and working closely with them. So they will always have a way to reach out to one of the mentors or the team members via just a straightaway DM. There is no to and fro email communication, no delayed response that they need to go through it, right? Uh, they can definitely just straight away reach out to us by messaging us across our Discord community, across the Slack channel, or just during using our phone numbers.
Just to add to what Abhishek said, I think one of the things that we try to emphasize in a lot of the project ideas that we've given is that the ideas themselves, like we've mentioned the kind of use cases that we're looking out to implement out of them, but we haven't been very specific in exactly how we want them to be implemented, right? And that is because we want the externs who are applying to us to, like, we want you to be invested in this as well. So perhaps do your own research and then look into how you're going to implement it. And yeah, just like, so basically all this boils down to the proposal that you're doing, right? So in the proposal that you write, make sure that you have some kind of comprehensive plan of like a comprehensive plan of how you're going to implement this, right?
So yeah, and lastly, do not try to float your application with a lot of tech lingo. Uh, that's something we've seen a lot. People just try to put random words and put random references there. Do not do that. As the KISS principle. So just keep it simple, silly. I would recommend that.
Right. So we've pushed the Discord channel of GitHub India Externship and your community as well. Uh, there were some questions that had come yesterday. I'm just kind of picking those up because this video goes to everyone who registers. And uh, one can potentially these externs be I'm assuming you all are also work out of office. Can if they are selected, one selected, can they come and share, workstations with you? Are you allowing that to happen? One. Two, I think, are there you know can externship be the talent hunting ground, wherein you, if someone performs really well as per your expectations or exceeds it, are you also offering pre-placement offers or job opportunities, as we call them as?
So yeah, thanks, Rohit. Great questions. We are primarily a remote first organization. We have a global team spread across, but we do have a head office based out of Bangalore right now. And we'd actually love for our externs to come work with us, share the workstations, get their dedicated spots. That's something we would encourage, and we'd happily support and figure out a way to make it happen. Uh, and the answer to your second question is absolutely yes, right? We've had one of our best talents come out fresh out of college and train them in-house. That's something we strongly believe in at DYTE is upskilling people internally. Um, and this is one of our ways to 100% scout for talent and roll out offers, PPOs, whatever you want to call them, way after your evaluation. So we would actually love to hire from the pool of people that we select for our externship.
Right. Any other question, audiences? I can ask more. I'm not tech person, so I'll ask more operational questions. Any other question, audiences? Uh, one I more operational. What is that spark that you're looking at in a project? You spoke about do not use lot of tech lingo, as you called it as. Is there anything that will impress you in the sense of saying, please have this in the proposal? Like, for an example, a lot of project owners who had come yesterday and said, do a lot of research before you start writing proposal. Are there any three do's and three don'ts that you would want them to work on while they write proposals for you?
So I think Shantanu mentioned this, right? That one of the things we would want people to do is actually look up to it and research on things that we have proposed, right? We have not kept a very hard and fast project as such. So if you look at a lot of projects, usually there are a very specific set of things that people are trying to achieve with a very specific way they want to do it. We've kept it more open-ended because we want people to be able to tinker around and get their creative juices flowing, get their thought process into it, right? So one of the things we are looking for is your individuality, your approach to it. And that only comes with you being able to actually understand the project, look into it, and come up with an approach. Uh, we would be more than happy to answer any questions, right? We can drop out our emails in the chat, and once you start reading through it, if there are any questions you have before you want to like send out a proposal, we're more than happy to address those questions and help you navigate through it, right? So what we're essentially looking for is people who are actually curious to solve those things. As with what we're building at DYTE, it's a straight away technical challenge. There is no ifs and buts about it. It's a pure infra as a service. So we're looking for people who are actually enthusiastic about tech, who get excited about working on challenges that are hard to solve, right? So that's essentially what we're looking for, problem solvers.
I'll also add that so as we've already mentioned our diet community Discord in the chat. So like as Abhishek said, a lot of the projects are like it's use case based, right? We've talked about what we want, but we've not talked about how we wanted to implement it. So yeah, just come on to the Discord and talk to us. I think that's gonna help a lot in establishing what we expect and like you mentioned impressing us, right? I think having a very open line of communication, I think that's going to be a good thing. And establishing like project requirements that way, I would look forward to that much more than going through a bunch of proposals and then evaluating which is the best implementation. So yeah, I think that's going to be a good thing.
I'm addressing the audience here more than anyone else. I believe a lot of project owners yesterday, day before, spoke about how uh, you'll have to work in a stipulated time frame and all. And seeing these four young leaders, I believe you will have that complete freedom. I'm just kind of taking words from them. I do not know whether they'll give. Uh, them being students currently as well can understand and relate more with your pressure situations, pressure time zones, etc. So I believe they'll give you the freedom that you all are looking for. Plus, I genuinely believe you will learn more with them being so young and experimenting more. I think Diet is the organization to kind of apply for. And you from a operational perspective, applications will close soon. I think we are on 14th today. There are about 5 more days before the applications closes. 19th is the last day. 23:59 p.m. Is when the applications close for all the projects. So keep sending them the applications, your project proposals, etc. Interact with them on Discord. We're also sharing their email IDs. While Abhishek said best is to interact on Discord and lesser email conversation, more DMs. But we're pushing their email IDs into the chat as well. And if you get stuck anywhere, you could email them, email us. We'll ensure that, or we'll request them to address those queries ASAP and get the conversations flowing. You all are so young. Any last word that you would want the students to, when while they are applying to you, to one, consider and be relate with?
So I saw a bunch of questions around like, do you need a detailed timeline, and how do you want us to explain the proposal? So again, I want to just re-emphasize on the fact that we want you to keep it straightforward, on a very core level, have a detailed understanding of how you're trying to solve the problem rather than defining each and every step of it. You don't need to know the perfect timeline for it and give a week by week breakdown. We're not looking to read detailed reports and research papers. The idea is to be able to see what your approach is and then work with you to help you best implement it, right? This is something where it's for the growth of the people joining in, and as well as us to learn from what they are coming up with their approach. So the emphasis is going to be strictly on the fact that do your research, understand the problem well. We can join the community and start interacting with people there, right? We will be sharing a bunch of resources around technologies that we use at Diet, be it WebRTC, be it something simple frameworks like React, right? So have a basic understanding and how to go about understanding how these frameworks or the tech behind it actually works, and how can we make the best out of it, right? And that's what we're expecting as a part of the proposal, rather than a complete, like, let's say, a 10-page report of how you're going to solve each and every step of it.
Would you want to address Ashika's question specifically? Do we need to be skilled in using the libraries, frameworks?
So I would like to answer that. Basically, you do not need to know the specifics of what the libraries do. You just need to have like an overview of what we are trying to achieve and how you can use that library or modify that library to achieve what you're like what the project wants to do. For example, let's say the microservices framework, right? If it's supposed to be in Golang, we of course expect you to know a bit of Golang before you actually can work on it. Similarly, for the Express Open API Spec generator, we expect you to have used Express before. We don't expect you to know internally how it works or all that. We will also figure out together if you're working in the extension with us. But yeah, so that's it to answer your question.
And to just add on to that, right? For the things you don't know, we're here to help figure out how to go about it, right? It's supposed to be a joint effort. It's not a secluded internship working remotely where you're just given a task and solve it. So just to clarify that, you'll be working day to day with us, with the entire team, not just the three of us, sorry, the four of us present here, but the entire team, right? So we'll be figuring out how to tackle things alongside of you. So yeah.
Perfect. I think we've exceeded the time. Thank you so much, Rohan, Abhishek, Rishit, Shantanu, for your time. At Reskilll, we would love to work with you during the period of GitHub Externship. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having us
Yep.
here, Rohit.
Thank you, Rohit.
It's been a
Bye.
really good thing.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Rohit. Yeah.
Bye.
Hi, Rohit.
Hi. Hi. Up next, we have two leaders from Sahamati Foundation, uh, Dheeraj and Vamsi. Welcome to the GitHub Externship AMA sessions. The way we would want the conversation to go from here is I would request both of you to briefly introduce yourself and talk about the project and what's your expectations when young externs are applying to the project. And then we'll take more questions. Over to you, sir.
Super. Thanks, thanks, Puneet. And let me just share my screen quickly in order to give all of you folks a quick overview of what Sahamati is. I presume all of you can see my screen. Please shout out if you can't. Otherwise, we'll continue.
Yeah, I
Um,
can see.
Thanks, Dheeraj. So, sir, let me first introduce Samati and then Dheeraj and myself will quickly introduce ourselves. We are a not for profit tech organization, right? And we're working on the basic, uh, you know, on the basic premise that today has become the most talked about fintech concept, I would say, in the country, which is data privacy. um, some of you may be following the conversation around data protection that's been going on for some time. If you're into following what's happening with open banking, open data, GDPR, these terms may be familiar. India is going through all of that right now, and what's become a reality is essentially citizens of India being able to access fintech services on the back of using their own data as an asset. Think of it as the next layer on top of payments, which hopefully all of us have experienced through UPI. And before that, Aadhaar, which I'm sure all of us have experienced for any and every kind of service, right? So, what we are now working on is the creamy layer on top of this stack that already has been put in place, which is called the India Stack, which is about allowing you and me to share our financial data through intermediaries called account aggregators. Uh, think of them as consent managers, right, or permission managers. And much like how UPI apps like Google Pay, Phone Pay, etc., act as intermediaries for a payment journey, uh, intermediaries for permission and consent will be these consent managers, right? So we are a not-for-profit alliance of all of the entities that are part of this ecosystem. And the entities that are part of this ecosystem are, of course, the banks and the non-banking financial firms and the account aggregators. But perhaps more exciting for many of you here is that there are a lot of technology service providers, what we call as TSPs, who are the members of our alliance, right? So if you visit our website and come to this become a member page, you will quickly see about 20 odd organizations that are currently already members, and there are at least 20 others that are in the process of formally joining the alliance. So we work with all of them and they work with us, and that I think is one important aspect I want to communicate, that we are looking for uh, interns through the GitHub Externship program who can not only help us build common set of services as Sahamati, but also get exposed to at least some of these organizations. Dheeraj, my colleague here, who's one of the hardest working volunteers we have in Sahamati, is himself the co-founder of one such technology service provider. And so we are bringing together, hopefully, exposure to some of these technology firms and potential opportunities for further engagement beyond the externship with them, in addition to an opportunity for building a common stack that the entire country, frankly, will use. Right. With that, I want to quickly spend 2 more minutes on what the common tech stack looks like before I hand it over to Dheeraj, who will spend 2 more minutes, and then we'll really open it up for questions. Right. What Sahamati builds, and I introduced ourselves as a not-for-profit tech alliance. So what's tech about us? What's tech about us is that we build infrastructure which is used by all of the members of the alliance, and that infrastructure is critical for the ecosystem to work. So as a simple example, any such ecosystem, such as UPI, for example, involves three parties to talk to each other, right? So when you go make a payment, starting your journey on Amazon, and then you go to Google Pay to approve the payment, or Bheem to approve the payment, then the bank that has your account is actually effecting that transfer of money, through NPCI, which sits in the middle. So there are 4 to 5 different organizations that are working hard behind the scenes for a simple user journey that all of us experience. This ecosystem is very similar. And therefore, when you have multiple such parties, you need common infra that all of those parties can use. And that common infra has many uses. To begin with, there is a need for a common registry, right? Which basically has the details of the endpoints, the IP addresses, the security information that all parties need of each other, right? So that's one common infra that's maintained and built by us. Very mission critical, but very very simple in what it does, right? Then there is common infra that we are currently building around creating a dashboard, giving visibility of what's happening in the ecosystem in terms of traffic, API health, usage, use cases, and extending that further to a dashboard of consumer queries, grievances, disputes. This is very, very important to build trust in the ecosystem, both within citizens as well as in other participants, and that's how you make it a scalable thing for the country, right? So that is the second set of common infra that we are building. The third kind of common infra that we'd like to build is around services like reconciliation for billing, right? Or services like API driven dispute management. One of the big things, again, in the country on the legal side is something called online dispute resolution. So, as Sahamati, we've adopted online dispute resolution as one concept that we will implement, right? So, suffice it to say that at Sahamati, while we are a not for profit, we are tech. We want to execute through volunteers, interns, and service partners, building a common tech stack. And really, at some point in time, scalability of this becomes important. And with the exposure we have with all of these organizations, we hope to find a lot of adoption of this common tech, out there. We were recently featured in one of Niti Aayog's reports as an example of a tech self-regulatory organization that builds all of this. So that's just to give you a flavor of who we are. I'll now hand it over to stop sharing, hand it over to Dheeraj, who can give you more insight into the tech stack and so on, and then we can take questions.
Yeah. Thanks, Vamsi. So let me just share my screen. All right. So as Vamsi mentioned, we are basically, to be honest, from my perspective, India is literally
We can't see
decades.
your screen yet. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Is it visible now?
Yeah, now we can. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So personally, I think India is literally decades ahead of any other country in the world in terms of where we stand in terms of digital infrastructure, right? And then we are just leapfrogging into futuristic world, really, where everything is getting digital. So on those lines, this is the Sahamati repository, which is source for a lot of tech and a lot of guidelines that drive the whole ecosystem. So these are the main 6 repositories that everybody interacts with as of now. One being the account aggregator standards, right, where these are the standards given out or defined by the RBI fintech arm, which is called Rebit, and we are simply just maintaining here this for everyone participating in the ecosystem to have a quick reference to have, and we are planning to improve this repository going ahead with even more better examples, better use of samples, things like that. Right. Then one of the most important piece of code that is being used in the wild is this Reskilll library. And as the name goes, it's literally does all the encryption bit that's happening during the data exchange in the account aggregator framework, right? And then there are certain A reduction guidelines, which is basically imagine it something like Google OAuth, right? When you sign up on a website and a website says log in with Google. So this is more or less sign up with A, right, and provide your information, provide your financial information to whoever is asking for that, and that is purely based on your consent again. Then, as Vamsi mentioned about the common services, these are the documentation around the common services, the token service, the central registry service that we have, right? And these are very crucial services to run the whole ecosystem, centerpiece of everything right now. Then the certification framework. So as some of you may have gone through the documentation as it was shared in the project details, there are mainly 3 entities that are actively participating, which are account aggregator itself. Then there are FIPs, there are FIUs. FIPs are the financial information providers. FIUs are the financial information users, right? And this certification framework allows us to validate whether the tech stack implemented by any of these participants is up to the mark or not, right? And then only they can go live into the wild. And what we have plans for this certification framework is to have an automated fashion and an action, rather a GitHub action, which allows the participants to run their own tech stack against this action and test whether if they are compliant to the certification scenarios that are available in this framework, right? Yeah, so that's about it, and let's hear it from you guys if you guys have any questions.
So thanks, Dheeraj. Before we open up for questions, let me bring it all together in terms of what are the projects that we have in mind
Yes.
for for the interns. I'll just maybe quickly summarize. So, firstly, the details of the specifics of what I'm going to say will collaboratively emerge when some of you opt to work with us and we assign ourselves as mentors, or we bring in somebody from our alliance members. The details will emerge during the course of the 3 month engagement that we have. But at a high level, project one is to build the common service stack. If I double click on that, there is a dashboard which is being built as a common service that is at version 1.0 today. We will probably look at interns joining us to take that to 2.0 version of the dashboard. That dashboard is today built on Power BI. It is hosted on Azure, and we have a bunch of volunteers who do that today. With this project, we will look at how to add more metrics to the dashboard and also make it possibly portable to a different tech stack. Right. So that is one project that we have in mind under the common service stack. The second common service stack that we have in mind is to build a common reconciliation service. So think of it as a collection of APIs that are hosted centrally by Sahamati, which allows all the participants, banks, fintechs, and the consent managers to use and reconcile amongst themselves details of the data that has been shared of the customer from one party to the other, right? And it's very, very crucial for any kind of dispute resolution or grievance redressal. And at scale, if we are talking about potentially, say, 100 million data fetches happening in year one annually and going up to a billion later, we need a reconciliation service that is simple, therefore scalable. So we may look at creating the seed version for a reconciliation service, get one of the industry members to mentor the intern and build that out. Right? So these two are specifically around the common stack. Then the second project that we may have an opportunity with is what is called the members portal. The members portal is a portal that all these alliance members use. We are building that on top of Zoho, which is a platform that we've adopted. So the opportunity to work and learn Zoho's platform and how to build apps using Zoho's platform as a service feature called Zoho Creator may come in handy in building out the members portal, right? So we already have one company that we work with as part of our service providers who implement Zoho. So interns may have an opportunity to directly engage with that, learn from them, and get handy on Zoho. The third project is enhancements to the central registry that Dheeraj spoke about. So we have a central registry, we have a token service. So we will identify specific enhancements that can be contributed to by interns. And essentially we are at version 1.1 of that registry. We may look at intern contributions contributing to a 2.0 and therefore fork out specific streams of work or specific features that interns may build over a 3-month period, which ultimately will be released. So let me pause there. Those are the three projects we have in mind. The central registry is currently a Java and PostgreSQL stack, right?
Yes. Right.
The members portal is Zoho, and you can create apps in Java on Zoho Creator and plug it in. So Java skills is what may come in handy there. And the dashboard, like I said, is currently a Power BI tool that we use. Okay, open for questions in the next 10 minutes.
Right. Thank you so much. And there are these basic fundamental questions, Vamsi and Dheeraj, and I want you to address those. So one, clearly defining, and maybe that's the question that has come as well, and maybe I'll build upon it. What three things they should include in the proposal to impress Vamsi and Dheeraj, and definitely saying what are the three things they should not be including, just to kind of put you off. What is an
Okay.
ideal proposal, as Pranchu is also asking?
Yeah. So an ideal proposal is, frankly, for the kind of work we do, is more softer than harder. I know it's a tough question at this stage. Rohit, are you speaking or are you on mute? No. Okay. Super. So Pranshu, the way we would like to work, we don't have, especially given that all of you are starting out, we don't have expectations of predefined skills that you may come in with. I think largely the reason we believe that this is the kind of work we do will be best served by folks like you is because the ability to provide energy in learning, grasping, and working with mentors like Dheeraj, myself, and others on a continuous basis. Being able to give that time and that commitment is point number one, the 3 pointer. Right? If you're not able to give that time for whatever reason, then it won't work. But if you're able to give the time, then that's a tick box entry criteria. Right? So that commitment is there, and we are assuming it is there. That's why you are here. We are here. Reskilll is there. Right? So that's one tick box already assumed to be there. The second tick box is, and Dheeraj will probably assess better, some of you who are interested than us, is conceptual thinking, block thinking, right? The ability to make sense out of all of the English that you're hearing from us and put that together into block diagrams with relationships between those. This is very, very crucial. This is a semi-tech skill, right? This is not really a fully soft skill. It is neither a fully hard skill like a certain language or a technology you have mastered. This is the ability to convert language into code by first converting it into a clear, in the olden days, there used to be something called UML and UML diagrams. It's still there, but I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with UML. But a lot of those classes of diagrams, and in simple OOPS terms, object-oriented thinking is really what I'm saying. Right? Being able to classify problem statements into clear thought. And so a lot of the initial work may simply be whiteboard capabilities to share thoughts and ask the right questions. And that gives a lot of confidence to us that you are moving in the right direction, right? And then, of course, the final third skill would be code, right? I mean, all of that, putting it into real code that talks, uh, and reasonable diligence in how you build it. And the guardrails that Dheeraj will put in as a mentor, for example, for basic quality checks, the ability to learn and commit to those guardrails. That's about it. I'm winging it perhaps a little bit, but frankly, even if I had thought about this more deeply, I don't think I would have come up with a better answer. But I leave it to
No,
Dheeraj
this
to put something.
no, this is absolutely right, Vamsi. And we are looking for people with these three qualities, these three essential qualities. And to be honest, I am a developer at heart, right? And language doesn't really matter, right? As long as your fundamentals are clear, you have a strong understanding of data structures, you're pretty much good to work with us, right? And whatever Vamsi mentioned is basically the base that builds up to these 3 points. So yeah.
Right. The other question that has been again, Pranjay is asking about what should they be including. I think you've already addressed that large part of your while you were addressing the previous question. Uh, I know yours is more foundation, non for profit, etc., etc. But are there days when these selected externs can come meet you in person? Imagine they are also in Bangalore. They want to rub shoulders for 2 days, 3 days with Dheeraj, with Vamsi in a room and learn more from you? Are you allowing that to happen? Do you foresee that opportunities for these young externs to kind of work face to face?
So let me take that, Dheeraj. So
Yeah.
Dheeraj is based out of Pune. I'm based out of Bangalore. And the way we envisage this is that we may have a couple of mentors based out of one based out of Chennai, the other again based out of Pune, right? The folks I have in mind. So, and we don't know where the externs are. So, I think it's a practical reality that a large part of what we do will have to be done like what we're doing right now, which is a very, very close proxy to in person. But having said that, I think at least I'm personally absolutely in favor of meeting up with folks that we engage with for the next 3 months periodically, because I know that sometimes there's nothing better than just than an in-person meeting. We'd be very happy to take a session in person, meet up somewhere, and do all of that. But my view is that that is more the exception that one should look for. Um, and let us have a need and an agenda, to make that happen. Uh, but if there is a need and an agenda, and often the mentors may feel that there is a need. It's not that the mentees have to say no, I want to meet. The mentors may feel that it's better to meet once, and just get this thing going because you're getting confused. Absolutely, it'll absolutely be.
Perfect. And while a lot of them would make proposals, if they get stuck, what's the easiest way to connect with you? While I'm sure there's a Discord server and you're there on the GitHub India Discord server, are there any other channels that you prefer, emails, etc.?
No, I would actually say Discord is what you use, and both Dheeraj and I are there in Discord. In fact, Sahamati has its own Discord channel as
Yeah.
well, and we're closely aligned with other similar minded servers. There's one on ode.dev, etc. So I think best is Discord. In case you find that we are not responding for whatever reason, email is the next best, because we will immediately reach out, and we are happy to also share our WhatsApps and so on and so forth. But in decreasing order of priority, I think Discord, email, WhatsApp would be that order.
Yes.
Dheeraj, you spoke about you being developer at heart, etc., then you said they should do a thorough research and then start making those proposals, etc. Is there anything that you want to add in the sensing? I want my developer to be like this. The definition of an ideal developer that Dheeraj or Vamsi would be taking on.
I from my perspective, like, so see, I deal with a lot of developers. I've seen a lot of people, come ask for, rather apply for jobs, right? And the major problem that I see in people is motivation, right? They wait for directions instead of jumping into the problem, solving it for themselves, trying it out actually, and then coming up with the wrong solution. That's absolutely perfect, fine with me. But they have to do that. They have to need to have that inner passion going. Okay, fine, I want to solve this in some way or other. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that needs to be there in a perfect developer.
You froze, Dheeraj, I think.
Yeah, I think internet. But what he
Oh,
essentially
okay.
what he essentially meant was take chances, even if you're not
Absolutely.
performing that right at the top, you still want to go
Yeah.
out and take those chances that come your way. Thank you, Dheeraj and Vamsi. It was super interacting with you. We also look forward to keep interacting with you more often during the journey of externship. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Everyone,
Thank you for having this.
19th December is the last day. 23:59 p.m. is the last day for you to apply to the project owners, to Sahamati Foundation's project. Please adhere to the time. We will not entertain any further requests beyond 19 December. Thank you, Vamsi. Thank you, Dheeraj. Good night.
Thank you, Rohit. Sorry, and I called you Puneet at the start. My apologies.
That's okay. Don't worry.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
Hi. Good evening, Andrew.
Yeah, good evening. It's been great. How's it going over there?
So far, so good. Which city are you in, Andrew?
So yeah, I am in Kochi right now. So I'm at my house. Yeah.
This is God's
But
zone.
yeah, God's own country basically.
Yeah.
But I am actually resided in Canada right now. But I just here for like vacation, December, Christmas, right?
Oh wow! So
Yeah.
thank you so much,
Yeah.
Andrew, for
Yeah.
joining. The way we would want you to proceed with the conversation is one, of course, talk about the organization, talk about yourself and the project and your expectations in that order, and then we'll take more questions from the audiences and keep you engaged for next 30 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Sure.
I
Over to
have
you.
some slides prepared. Yeah. So I have some slides prepared. So I'm just do that.
Andrew's slides are coming up. Andrew,
Yeah.
I should have. Okay, Andrew is
Yeah.
there.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, once again, thank you for the opportunity, Rohit and the guys at Reskilll. And thank you to the viewers for being present for this. And welcome to Ask Me Anything with me. So, the idea, so what is Hoppscotch basically? What are we getting into? So, we are building an API request builder. Basically, this is our core product, building an API request builder which supports REST, GraphQL, and real-time APIs. Why? Because basically APIs run the internet. It's like the unseen thing, which is combining all of the different services together, right? And the main goal of Hoppscotch, because the whole idea of being an API request builder was something we started out with, but our current goal with Hoppscotch is not just to be an API request builder, but be an ecosystem. And an ecosystem in the sense that we want to provide an experience end to end, where you can actually think about APIs, test APIs, document APIs, all within this one app, and also collaborate, because that's also part of the API development ecosystem. Basically, at the end of the day, what we think is we believe we can do things much more better. And we have some ideas which stem from the fact that the current API development ecosystem doesn't have a end-to-end solution. Yes, there are solutions like Postman or something which offers things like documentation or something, but they have issues, we believe, and we want to basically tackle them and build a much more better solution with the help of the open source community. So just day before yesterday, we had an article pop up on VentureGeeks about how Hoppscotch is building an open source ecosystem. I believe there's a link right below as well. If Praneeth, can you just put it on the chat? That'd be cool. So basically, the idea, this report basically kind of goes through what our plans are. And that's basically the end of the day, the goal of Hoppscotch, to build this ecosystem. So the team right now, so we are still pretty young. Young in the sense, as an organization, we are young. But as a project, Hoppscotch has crossed 2 years old. And basically the team currently consists of me. So I am the co-founder and the CTO at Hoppscotch. And we have Lias. Lias is the actual founder. He started the project, And well, basically, he is pretty much more known about the things. He's kind of the more public image of Hoppscotch. And we are basically the main part of the team, but we are actually also like hiring right now. So a lot of members are coming in, and many other people are joining in on January. So that will be awesome as well. And with that, I guess we can get into the humble beginnings behind it. So it's a story we like to tell everywhere because we think it's kind of inspirational. It all started with Leos, who actually just out of college. He graduated from college and he got a job at a small firm in Kochi. And there he had to work with REST APIs. And the problem was at that time, basically, at this point, there is only basically one accepted tool. I guess, yeah, there are insomnia and other things, but basically everyone uses Postman. But the problem with Postman is it's a really bulky app. I mean, over the years, the app has become really complicated. It's a really capable app, totally, but it has become complicated over the years. And what happened was Leos had a really old computer. Being a student and just graduating, you don't exactly be having a lot of money with you afford a big computer. So it was really difficult for it to run. Basically, imagine running Visual Studio Code and maybe like a development environment and then running Postman and then also having, as developers, it's something we have to acknowledge that we basically Google things until we find the answer. So having I usually have on my typical work day, I usually have 20, 30 Chrome tabs open. So imagine all of that happening on a really old computer. That is what Leos faced. So, Leos noticed that basically the browser is always a part of a development experience, and why can't we just use a web app? Right? The browser is already open, the browser is already really optimized. Why are we basically running another Electron instance, which is basically just another browser, a completely different browser, which basically have a lot more resources? So that's how Hoppscotch started. We started as the term actually started as Postman, as a play on Postman, because that's basically the goal. But then eventually we wanted to switch. We wanted to pursue this a little more seriously, so we switched it to Hoppscotch. So he actually wrote the initial version, which you can see here, in in a day. I guess he started in the morning, and at night he basically published it to GitHub and also made it live. And basically, my story of coming into the project is basically I joined the project basically the second day. I saw this and I was like, okay, I can add some features, and basically I started adding features to it, and basically I kept on adding a lot of features that basically now I kind of run the technical part of things. The current state of Hoppscotch is basically we are a really big GitHub project. I guess the last time we checked, we were around 210 or 200 something position in the world in the total GitHub star ranking. So it's ranking by stars. So it's kind of a big thing, and we have around 170 total contributors throughout the project lifetime. Not just in Hoppscotch, we also have so many other projects within the Hoppscotch umbrella. So aggregating all that together, we have around 170 total contributors. 6 projects under the organization. We also have many more, but all those are kind of like the private part of things. There's so many projects which is basically part of things which are coming further down the road. It's something we are incubating. But 6 public projects and 34,000, nearly 34.5 thousand stars. And along with that, we have around 500,000 all-time users. We clock in around around 500, 600 simultaneous users in a good work day. And you can also see the trajectory we have been going at the start. And initially, the app just started as REST APIs, but then coming down the road through contributions and our work on it, we have basically added support for GraphQL, because remember GraphQL, that was a hype at the time. And real time, basically things like WebSockets, Mosquito, that sort of stuff. And over the years, when we built this, with what we have seen and what we want the product to be, we had I and Elias, we have developed some philosophies. And this is something, it's kind of, what do you say, this is something kind of boring for some people. Like some people like the technology aspect of things. Some people, not everyone is like really excited with the philosophy of things, but we are. And we have an image in head what houses should be. And this is something we want all of our contributors and all of the other people who are contributing to the project to know, basically. And the first major thing is being inclusive. Inclusive in the sense is that there should not be a barrier to actually accessing Hoppscotch. This is something. This is something we kind of value a lot because that's how the project started. Right? We wanted a personal alternative which can run on this 10-year-old computers. Basically, that tradition continues. We want to be as lightweight, as minimal as possible, but also it's not just the performance cases anymore. We want it to be a low friction experience in that people can just learn about Hoppscotch. Basically, like, hey, I have discovered this tool called Hoppscotch, and jump into Hoppscotch and using it, and basically at the end of it, loving Hoppscotch. That's kind of the goal. That's kind of our goal right now, and and the ease of access to it. To begin, even if you are someone who is new into the API space, maybe you are writing your first API and you are testing it. We want Hoppscotch to make as sense as possible. Because of that, we basically revolve all our design decisions around that. And be integrated. This is part of the ecosystem aspect of what we're building. Basically, we want Hoppscotch to eventually encapsulate all our aspects of processes which happen during an API development exercise. So this has because that's kind of the end of the day. What we do not see in other tools, basically, at least in the combination of being inclusive. So being an integrated tool, basically giving you a step at every point, and each part of Hoppscotch plays into the other. That's kind of the goal with being integrated. And then the open source heart. This is kind of our most important tenet, basically, we follow. Being open source first. We want to be as open source as possible because the community is what makes Hoppscotch basically. Every reason why I am standing in front of you is because of all the contributions people have put towards the Hoppscotch project. We have had donations, we have had contributions mostly, everything. Basically just added up to what Hoppscotch being there. And we want to continue it that way. We want things to be as open as possible in a way that's preserving, but completely open. That's kind of the goal. So community first. And also a lot of the aspect of Hoppscotch, like why it's like a popular tool right these days, is basically because the community understands. And the effort we have put into building the community. Basically, so I am in Canada. So what happens is Elias is also in Kerala. So what happens is usually because of our time zones, usually when I wake up, Elias is sleeping. So basically, if people have any issues, they can directly approach us, right? And basically clear things out. We clear bugs out in like very fast pace. So people say like, hey, I have a bug, and within 1 hour, we are like, hey, okay, here's a patch, should be done. Let us know if there's anything going on. That's kind of a thing because we want to basically help people from the community as much as possible. And that is a major aspect of Hoppscotch. There are some things we are working on. This is not all the things, but these are like the main things which we are kind of focusing on these days. One thing is embeds. This is almost done. So basically the idea is we haven't seen a proper solution, or at least a proper polished solution, which actually provides the ability for embedding API testing environment. So basically what we see in API documentation world is basically people, they have documentation, and people usually implement either use a simple API, like use an API documentation environment, something which does that, or people basically have to roll out their own like API testing program. So what Hoppscotch embeds is planning to do is basically make writing documentations easier. And basically, this allows people to basically create a create an instance of Hoppscotch directly within their website. So at Hoppscotch internally, we use Notion. That's kind of the main reason why we think of it. We use Notion, and the thing is, we write all our documentation in Notion. And what we have seen in Notion is that it would have been cool if we can actually put a bit of Hoppscotch inside Notion, right? I can basically test things inside Notion itself. And if I want to do more things, I can just click open in Hoppscotch and then it directly goes to Hoppscotch. And that sort of stuff. So basically, that's the plan with the embeds. This is something which should be done by January or hopefully before that, but I think it's going to be January. And the other thing is workspaces. Basically, working. This is like a very popular issue. Workspaces basically means we want people to work at the same time in a single Hoppscotch instance and multiple things. So you have multiple APIs or multiple teams you're working with. You want to like switch easily switch between them. That's kind of the idea of workspaces. And native. Native is a very interesting topic. It's basically our goal is to provide a simple native app, but at the same time, it's not like a complete like a Postman kind of situation which we're using an Electron. We want something lightweight, and there's a lot of R&D going on. Basically, how a native Hoppscotch app should look like. But it's a lightweight, can run on your own computer kind of situation over there, and that's also something which we're working on. And then the tech stack, it's mostly this. For in terms of externship, we have a lot of backend work going on. Mostly things are like Firebase and that sort of stuff, but this is the front end work. The front end. So we are a view application on top of Next.js. So Next.js is basically, if you are from a React background, basically Next is basically what is Next.js for Vue. What is Next.js for React? That's what Next is for Vue. This is the Vue part basically. And then we use styling, Tailwind, and SCSS basically. And above all that, we use TypeScript as our as a programming language of choice, or JavaScript. But it's not something like we enforce on people. But we would love it for all the final code which is coming into TypeScript. We have a lot of JavaScript code in our app as such, but we are also planning to migrate everything else to TypeScript. So these are the main projects under Hoppscotch, and as an aspiring extern, you should be basically be focusing on these three: Hoppscotch, which is the main Hoppscotch app, and then we have the Hoppscotch extension, and then we have Proxyscotch. So Hoppscotch is the main Hoppscotch web app, which is basically our most popular repo, and we have Hoppscotch extension. So there are some browser restrictions which a normal web app face, which kind of block Hoppscotch's usefulness. So we have an extension which basically overrides them. So that Hoppscotch extension is one place we can work on. And Proxyscotch is basically a proxy server. It is written in Go. So if you are interested in if you are a person from a Go background, you can work on Proxyscotch if you want. So Proxyscotch is also like it's like a sibling to extension. In basically their purpose is the same, just their mode is different. Our summer extension. So this is Hoppscotch's second time in externship. We were also part of the very first GitHub Externship, which took place last summer, and we had a total of 6 interns, 6 externs. But I don't like, because if I feature them all over here, it's going. Some of them are kind of really busy with stuff going on in their lives. But these, if you have any doubts or if you want some help or like some clarifications or like experiences in general, you can ping these 2 guys. So Bhavuk and Geeta. Geeta was working on the Hoppscotch CLI, and Bhavuk was working on a little backend adventure, it's like a single feature which we are planning to release further down the line. So basically, that's about it in terms of slides. basically that's about it, and that's basically what you should know about Hoppscotch as a project in general. I guess it's like a really good initial introduction into like what the project is, what all the things we use, and how we do things. Yeah. Is there anything more I should add, Rohit?
No, I think if you could just delve upon, Andrew, what is an ideal proposal? How does these externs, how do they impress upon the team of Hopscotch? What are the three things that they should definitely do while they are making those proposals for you?
Yeah. So first of all, for being proposals, we have a project template and stuff. So if you follow that, that is something which we do. So we have a proposal template if you want to use that. But at the same time, like if all the required information is there, we want you to kind of go a little bit further. Not further in the sense we want you to kind of showcase who you are. A lot of part of externship is going to be you're going to be working individually, and like we will keep you in touch. So basically, the way we work is basically we have a weekly meetings on Tuesdays. We have weekly meetings on Tuesdays, and we basically talk about like what we're doing, any blockers, and that sort of stuff, like a progress report. And and for that, basically, there is we will guide you when you get stuck. But the thing is, it's like we kind of look at externship as like a adventure in which basically we explain to you this is stuff, but I hope you can kind of figure things. I hope you can build up from that and figure things out. We'll sit with you, but it will be helpful if you can kind of build things up on your own. Like so, basically, in a proposal, what we're trying to see is one the person. We need to feel that the person is confident in the sense, hey, I can assert myself. Like okay, this is my idea. This is why it works. And so, how is your response basically? Because that's kind of something we see because the whole idea of externship is we want to give you the experience, but we believe that because the way we work, IMBS work, we believe that people should basically come forward with their with the things they want to build because that is the only way basically we build great things, right? And so as long as you kind of put on the required information which is on the proposal template, we want you to go further. So maybe explain like you can go further like, hey, this is the thing. Hey, this is me. Basically, have a personality. We receive some. The problem was we receive proposals, but reading through proposals, if all of them fail, feels samey. It's also boring for us, and you don't stand out as a candidate. So standing out, basically explaining things. At the same time, developing an understanding, right? So if you put a proposal till the deadline, you have the opportunity to kind of edit things until the final deadline. But the major thing we had to also feel is basically you have an idea what you're doing, and you have an idea what Hoppscotch is, and you have an idea which basically goes you need to feel like you have an idea of the philosophies of Hoppscotch. Basically, the things I have basically talked before. So you have a feature like that, basically a feature or a bug fix or something. Just basically, we need to feel like okay, I know how to fix this thing. And if we have that, we will most probably be taking you in. So I guess that could be like the major things. Also, it will be helpful if you have like past GitHub experience or like you have worked with the community before or past projects if you want to stand out, right? So that personal touch is basically something we really look forward to in our proposals.
And Andrew, while you'd also answer that, but if these potential externs, the applicants, while working on the proposal, get stuck, uh, they can reach out to you on Discord or any other way and seek clarifications there and then for them to, make those proposals in a manner that you would want them to.
Yeah.
What's,
So
what's
basically, yeah. our communication channels, as I said, like we have weekly meetups with the team, right? We basically sit and we basically plan what we are going to be doing for the week. And that's usually the time when we have any blockers, we basically bring that up, like, hey, this is something we had to fix, that sort of stuff. Or, hey, I don't know, I'm stuck with this thing. So usually the way I work or Leos works is I'm kind of the technical aspect of things and Leos is kind of the UI guy. So Leos kind of sometimes struggles with like very technical aspects of the app, or like very internal features or some optimization I have done. So I will go. So basically, Leos pings me like, "Hey Andrew, can you help me fixing?" So basically, because this is the way we work, it's basically the same for externs. Just ping me, and if I'm available, we'll just basically set up a meet at that point, and we'll be pair programming. It's like an instant thing most of the times, unless I'm sleeping or I'm eating or something. I will be there.
No, absolutely. So I think like all the project owners have spoken, a word of advice to all the externs: please research about the project, research about the organization, understand them as much as you can before you start drafting those ideas and project proposals for the leaders to look at. Andrew, a lot of people spoke about, or the project owners spoke about, the additional benefits that. So I'm just trying to ask, if you really find an exceptional talent, which had happened in year one as well, or the cohort one as well, would you be looking at extending job opportunities to them, etc., etc.? Does that is that the part of plan as well?
Yes, actually, as I said, we are hiring right now. So we are actually looking into candidates, expanding our team. So, like, we are kind of course, is currently in kind of a growth phase. We want to build our team, build features, that sort of stuff. That's kind of our plan in general. So we are looking into serious candidates, and even in the past, even among the past externs, we have actually. I actually keep in touch with a lot of them. Basically, say if they come into the job market, I'm like ready to snatch them up. Basically because I guess as long as main thing we see is basically are do we function well as a team? Are we, like if we all work together as a team? That's basically like the core aspect of things. Because like maybe it's like you can learn things and that sort of thing, but at the end, if we feel like you don't, if you are an exceptional person and you are something, we can all work together. Yeah, sure. It's a very possible thing, and we will be looking at people in that way. Except, actually, we will be giving them like first preference when it comes to like job opportunities. Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you for saying that. Before you leave, Andrew, and I think we're right on the button. Uh, are there uh, typical traits of the developers that you look at? I mean, while the projects would essentially be the entry level of impressing upon you, what skills are there? Other traits that you will look at post the ideas that they submit?
Okay. Not exactly. The main thing we actually kind of try to focus on is basically um, do the person understand what they're doing? Like, do you know what you're getting into? Okay, this is the thing. This is the next 3 months of your life, right? Even if partially, it's the next 3 months of your life. So, do you understand the things you're tackling? Do you know what you're talking about? I also we don't exactly believe in the term entry level because I am a student myself. So there's a bit of a notion. So I guess I will relate with externs a lot more than I don't know others. And so there's a bit of a notion like no, it's more about like learning. Like, are you willing to learning? Are you interested in things?
Yeah.
Basically, that is also another thing. Like the reason like I get to be here is because I kind of love programming. It's not something. It's something like what do you say? I kind of feel like passionately, right? Could feel a bit what do you say cliche, but it's the way it is, right? And sometimes I go crazy for things. Like usually, sometimes I remember sometimes like I sit late at night and try to figure out things on DS and DS like go sleep. that sort of stuff. And also being a student, I have classes and projects and other stuff going on, so sometimes I kind of push myself. I'm not saying to push yourself or something. It's just I'm saying it's if you are if we feel like you understand things, you should be a very passionate person or you're a pretty knowledgeable person. If you are either of those, it's most likely you will be you'll be selected in the extension.
Perfect. So I think he's clearly defined what he is looking at and the way they want the team members to be. Thank you, Andrew, for your time. It was good interacting with you. And we look forward to keep working with you during the journey of GitHub Externship. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Kushbu.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you so much for joining. And I know it's very late in the day. Thank you, Kushbu, for joining. The way I would want to proceed and request you to talk about the organization, Sustlabs, talk about what you're looking at, talk about the projects that you've listed. We'll keep pushing those links into the audiences, into the chats and emails, and for them to keep referring to this conversation. So introduction and then talk about project and expectations. Thank
Sure.
you.
So, hello everyone, welcome and thanks for joining in. So, Suslabs, so we at Suslabs, we are a big data analytics company, and so we unlock the say, electricity insights from the electricity that the residential has for generating insights for utilities, appliance manufacturers, services, and insurance companies. So, uh, one such product at Just Labs is our Home Assistant. Home Assistant acts as a Fitbit for homes. It's um, it's an electricity activity tracker, uh, which helps generating valuable insights for your home, making your home smarter, getting real time energy monitoring for uh, appliance specific usage that you have at utilities. We usually get overall consumption, and being a consumer, we are clueless where is most of our consumption going. So, one to deal with one such problem, we at Suslabs have designed a product. This is our product that we have designed in house. This helps the consumers uh, get the valuable insights where which appliance is consuming how much amount of say usage. So I'll share the screen. So we are housed. We are almost in 70 plus cities and towns in India as of now, and yeah. So this is the overview, over high level architecture of how the bot works. So it is placed after the MCB meter, and it interacts with your home Wi-Fi, and through the internet, it 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 interacts with our server, and then through the data that the bot sends, we generate the valuable insights. As of now, we have around almost more than 6 months of the data, and through those data, uh, we are trying to generate the valuable insights for our users. So yeah, so once the bot is installed at say your MCB, near to MCBs, it gathers the data from the different appliances that you have in your house, and the bot detects uh, the consumption of appliances at your house by installing the just this single device at near to MCB. Yeah. So this is uh, the high level, say, the app that we have developed, which helps the consumer see in, uh, the segregations or the insights that we are capturing. So at so yeah, so out of many tools for visualization purposes, we one such tool that we are using at Sustlabs is just Grafana. So this shows you you know, the data streams that we are getting from a user. So how the data looks like. So this is the overall the raw data that say this is the particular, there's a user, and this is the raw data that we have got from the device. And basis this raw data, what ML does is it predicts the different say the consumption of different appliances. One such as the washing machine. So suppose now that you have turned on, say, washing machine at 9 p.m. at night. So this bases the consumption, overall consumption. It shows that you have turned on the AC washing machine. Yeah. So now coming to the projects. So now that we have say almost 6 months of more than 6 months of data, live data, streaming data. So out of those data, we would be generating insights. Uh, and one such problem that we would want to say solve would be say basis the past consumption of say let's say AC. The AC has consumed, say, in previous 2-3 months, it was consuming around, say, 12 units a day, and now after, say, after 2 months or so, it has started consuming around say 15-20 units more as that of the previous. And what we would want to tell our users, basis the consumption, the increase in the consumption that they have for, say, uh, there is a 15% hike in the consumption based on the past based on the historic consumption pattern. And since it's appliance level as well as the total consumption, so it would also, we would also want to say notify our customers, say how much detour uh, there is, how much detour appliance um, yeah, so how much an appliance consumption has been deteriorated basis the past consumption, whether the health of the particular appliance is as expected, or would that need more of servicing or something on those lines. So yeah, that's that. And coming on to evaluation criteria. So the evaluation criteria would be majorly around the type of insights that you would be proposing us, and the approach that you would be taking on. Yeah, Rohit.
Sorry, I was talking on mute. Uh,
Nice.
Khushbu, thank you. There are one or two pertinent questions. What,
Sure,
like for an example, Manas is asking, let us know about project proposal document. I mean, the question is, what should they be including in the project proposal to impress
sure.
Khushbu and the organization?
Yeah. So basically, there is no as such any uh, the process or any document that has to be followed for the project proposal. So we would be looking around, say, what type of insights the particular say the extern would be gathering from the data that we have. So the approach that he is taking, and say if he has worked around, if there is any ideas that he has, uh, the extern has, he or she has, then they could propose their idea as well. Or if they don't have, then what kind of insights they would be gathering out of the amount of data they have for the users. So basically that only needs to be added in the documentation. If they have any other, say, link for if previous projects, GitHub links, or any other links that they have worked upon, so that would also work for us.
Perfect. And so a lot of these, because these are young students, so how can they interact with you or any other mentor uh, if they get stuck? So GitHub India has set up this Discord channel. I don't know if you're there or not.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so they can ask questions to you on the Discord channel, and then you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they can
Oh,
directly connect over Discord, and then we could take it ahead from there.
I think I've asked you a very tough question now.
Uh, so as of now, we would be planning for one or two applicants, not more than that. So if we find the proposals, if we find the proposals, say if we are stuck, there are too many good proposals, and then if we are stuck between say two or three proposals, then we would go for say maximum of two applicants. Otherwise, we have room for one applicant as of now.
Right. So everyone, you'll have to understand that organizations would take externs because they have to spend considerable amount of time with you. So taking on multiple externs and not doing justice is something that we are trying to speak with these organizations, and therefore you will have maybe two, three externs working with them, but the considerable amount of attention that an extern would want shall be given by these partner organizations. Uh, uh, should the idea include the tech stack as well?
No, we are not much say we are not much strict about the tech stack. The externs are comfortable. They could use the tech stack that they are comfortable with, and then we would be happy to take it.
Okay, as a you know, uh, uh, so a lot of organizations yesterday, day before spoke about. So I don't know which city you are in, so maybe I'll ask which city
So
is
we
it.
Bombay, we are from Bombay.
So if there are interns from Mumbai, Pune who want to come and physically be there in office and rub shoulders with mentors and learn more, are you open with that?
We would be happy to have them in the office. So instead of them working from home, we encourage people to come to office and work with us. So at Sustlabs, we have the culture. So just a heads up for whoever if getting selected. So So we are more like a family here, and then we have some gaming sessions too in our office. So if you come to office, that so it will be an added advantage that we are say based out of IIT Bombay. So if any of you wishes to come to office, we would be happy to have you around.
Awesome. So I think we've asked all sort of questions. You're there on the Discord channel. If there are more questions, they'll come your way. So I'll have to say thank you so much for your time, and
Thank you.
at least still we would interact with you more often than this during the journey of GitHub Externship.
Sure, sure.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Good
Thank you
night,
all. Good
everyone.
night.
Bye.